So my name's Howard Weiner. I'm at Harvard at the Brigham and Women's Hospital, and literally been working on MS all my life. People ask me, well, how did you get involved? Did someone in your family have MS? How did you get involved? The thing that got me involved when I was a young doctor, a resident in the hospital, there was a man who came in the hospital with MS, had a bad attack. He had 2 young boys, and he was my age, and I had 2 young boys. And I said, well, if I can help him, then I'll be helping, people like myself over the years. When Steve and I began working together, and this really goes back to 1980, 70s, like 1979, when I was 13. In 1979, we would sit with people and we would say, well, you have a diagnosis, your diagnosis is MS. They say, okay, doctor, what's the treatment? And we say, well, we don't really have any treatments. And they say, well, can you do a blood test? Can you do an x-ray, to see what's going on? And we say, we can't do an x-ray. There's no such x-rays. But I said, I'm sure that in the future there will be treatments and we will be able to do, in quotes, an x-ray. And that indeed has happened. We have treatments. And we don't have what's called an X-ray, we have MRI imaging, and the MRI has revolutionized our ability to take care of MS patients. Imagine trying to look at the stars without a telescope or look at something small without a microscope. The MRI allows us to look inside somebody and see how they're doing. That's led to the approval of many of the drugs we have. And now I sit with people and they say, well, when will there be a cure? And will there be a treatment for progressive MS? And I say the same thing I said to them in 1980. I said, well, we don't have a treatment yet, but I am sure we will have one in the future. And just as we have the MRI and the treatments, we will have a treatment for progressive MS. And I think we actually are curing some people. I think there's some people whose disease has been stopped, and some people we understand the disease. So I don't think we're going to cure MS, in one day it'll be cure, non-cure. I think we may be curing 15 or 20% of the population now, and it's just going to keep going up. And I'm very excited about that. And I consider myself, Donnie talked about how he was blessed. I consider myself blessed that in my lifetime I've been able to work on a disease where I can now help people and see them. And I just want to say one thing about Leslie Weiner. I always tell this story, so I'll tell 2 stories. So one, I was going to an MS conference in London, and I went to check into a hotel. I said, my name is Dr. Weiner. He says, oh, your father already checked in. But I will say, I remember, we've also worked together, and Leslie's done pioneering work in viruses and in stem cells and vaccines and everything. And it also turns out that both our sons are in the entertainment industry. My son, Ron Weiner, works on 30 Rock and has won 2 Emmys. He's an Emmy award-winning writer for 30 Rock. Leslie's son is more famous. He's one of the 100 most influential people, is named by Time magazine. And really has done amazing things with his Mad Men. So Leslie can't personally congratulate his son, but I will. So I've been involved in this, and I think I've come to almost every one of these events since we were in Colorado. And I thank Nancy for all of her efforts, and all the doctors and all the colleagues. So thank you very much.
My name is Daniel Pelletier. I'm at Yale University. I've been there for 3 months only. I used to be at UCSF. I was at UCSF for 11 years. But I'm here today, thanks to Nancy. I'm here to say that changing zip code doesn't change what we need to do together. My research is on imaging. Dr. Weiner was talking about MRI. Most of my research is about imaging. So we're very fortunate to be able to see MS in different ways, in new ways. So we've been excited and fortunate to be able to measure this disease with imaging. So my work at Yale is going to be focused on molecular imaging, so we need to be very specific in terms of what we measure, and then we'll be able to measure chemicals, small proteins and small amino acids, and potentially visualize cells for the first time, perhaps in MS. So, so that's going to be my focus over the next few years.
I'm Leslie from the University of Southern California, and Howard doesn't tell the whole story. It's kind of interesting. I always identified myself as a better-looking Weiner. But, you know, we don't know that we're related, but our families both came from Vienna about 60 years apart. However, and we both have sons that are creative and writers and so forth. And our fathers both were named Paul. And the issue is, are we related? And of course, I've tried to deny this all these years. But I tried to recruit Howard when he was still a fellow in Denver. And my wife always said, you just want to have a Weiner on every paper you write. But he made the right choice and he went to Harvard. My feeling is that the Nancy Davis consortium here of investigators has been very, very important. I'm very honored to be part of this group. We have very lively discussions. We meet a couple of times a year. Emmanuel, who you'll hear from in a little bit, keeps us on the right track as the basic operating officer of this group. And I think that our research is, we look for collaborations, but we really are center focused. We communicate what we're doing, and I think that that's a tribute to Nancy and her philosophy. I think that I would add that we do face an issue which is coming about, and that is the idea of regeneration and repair. And I think that will be the next big push in medicine, and particularly in terms of the nervous system. Now, this may involve stem cells. It may involve finding different drugs that help repair. It may well induce the cells that we know are in our nervous system to do their work. But I think that this will be a future which I think is very bright in the next few years. And I think that this is now a focus of most places now in the world. It's not just in the U.S. And I think that this makes me very optimistic about the future. Thank you.